War Eagle Auburn family, welcome back to another edition of E2C Network Live, where we get together and we talk about what's going on in the world of the Auburn family spectrum. We're always heavy on the sports here, but if it's orange and blue, it is what we do. On today's live stream, we're going to be breaking down the Auburn versus LSU game and giving out some grades to each unit, each team, special teams, offense, defense. All that here, you're going to help us do that tonight. It's going to be a fun night. And I hope that everybody is still reveling over the amazingness that was the streak of 22 years ending. 2 decades of misery, of sorrow, of just wishing and hoping that it would end. And it is over, folks. I hope that you got a chance to check out our live stream right after that. We had some fun on that thing. It was a lot of fun. Anyway, let's get down to business here. Because if we're going to be doing these live streams for breaking down and grades, I got to have someone to keep me in check and someone to keep me honest here. So you know him. You'll love him. You remember from last week. My partner in crime, Mr. Austin Scott, is back. What's up, Austin?
What's up? How are we doing? We're keeping each other in check. That's the main thing.
Now, honestly, listen, you know that you're keeping me more in check than anything else. let's not kid ourselves, okay? You know, it's
all right.
I understand the dynamic here. I get it. You know, I get a little bit out there sometimes. So it's just so okay. We're gonna say hello to everybody in the chat. We got a lot of people already popping in and all that good stuff. So make sure you're smashing that like button as you get here tonight and share it out on social media if social media is working tonight. Facebook and Instagram. What's up with you? But yes, please do share that if you can on your social media as well. We want to get a big crowd in here tonight. How are you feeling, Austin? After that game?
I tell you what, a pretty classic, fun Auburn game right down to the end there. But I mean, you touched on all of it. That streak is over, and it's the one that I was 3 years old the last time Auburn won down in Baton Rouge, and it's just a really good feeling to see it. I've been down there and been to one of those in the last 22 years where we lost, and there's nothing fun about playing down there and losing. So it was really awesome, an incredible performance by this team. A lot of adjustments made. I'm sure we'll get into a heck of a game by Bo Nix, but man, just a really fun time and definitely worth waiting up till the wee hours of the morning for.
See, isn't that the great thing? Because if we had to stay up and watch how it started, you know, you've seen those memes, how it started, how it's going, you know, type of thing.
Right.
You could show the first quarter Auburn fans just like, oh, you're crying. And now, you know, everybody's just screaming and running around like I was.
Exactly.
I was inconsolable after that. I ran around the room. I picked Jessica up, carried her around for a few minutes till I got, you know, too tired because I'm old. Anyway, so here's what we're going to do. Give you a couple parameters for the evening so you can kind of know how this operates. So it's just me and Austin tonight. However, I do have the headphones on, and most of you that have been here know that means somebody gets to call in, or usually everybody. On Monday nights on our Breakdown and Grade show, we're giving an exclusive option to our Booster Club members. Now, that's separate from being a channel member. That's just for those of you that want to stay here and support us here on YouTube. But there's the Booster Club. It supports everything. Podcast, YouTube, social media, all that good stuff. They have the link. If anybody calls in, they get to join us. No questions asked, unless they misbehave. But if I misbehave, then I guess the show's over. I don't know. Austin's then in the driver's seat. But that's what we're going to do.
Nobody wants that.
We're just going to have fun talking about it. We're going to take as many of y'all's comments in the chat as we can. As we've been getting bigger, and that's attributable to you guys, nothing that we're doing here. You know, it's going to be harder to get to everybody's comments and questions, but we will do our best to do that. Let's say hello and just kind of point out a couple people. First of all, I got to shout out my man, Dusty. He became a channel member. Round of applause. You can check out links in the description. You can hit the join button. Here's the trick, though. If you're watching on an iPhone, they make it real hard for you to find it and all that kind of stuff. So the easiest way is to go to a desktop. $1 a month is all it takes. And you can be a channel member just like Dusty. So thank you for your support, sir. And I saw your message down below about you becoming a Booster Club member. There's a different name. Someone became a Booster Club member, so I have it. And I don't want to give your name if that's your real name unless you're comfortable with it. So let me know in the chat if that's cool, and I'll say the name. But if so, we'll get all that stuff figured out for you. When we started late tonight, Auburn Elvis wants to do the traditional thing and start on ESPN News. We're not that big yet. A lot of you are already doing the drill. Post where you're watching from, city, state, international. Let's see who's all here. We got a lot of our regular crowd already showing up. I still can't believe either, Neil. I really, really can't. It is just, it's awesome. Albert Elvis, I know you're lying. You did not go to bed, sir. You're lying. There's no way you went to bed that night with that thing. Yeah, so I can't even, I think I wore this shirt recently, Neil. I'm going to pull this one up, but it felt appropriate. And so I'm just going to wear it again, even if I had already recently wore it and it smells a little bit. So sorry about that for me. Larry Davis, another channel member. John Stokes is in the house. Good to see you. And a Booster Club member. Take that, Matt Flynn. Now, Austin, let me ask you this. Were you like following Auburn as much when the 2007 LSU game happened? Do you remember that?
I do. Yes. With Matt, I get the comment. Yes.
Is it, to me, like, I get 2017 was devastating. 20-point lead that you lose. I get it. 2009, that was 2007. 2019, you're the only team the entire year that took it to the wire with LSU. I get the disappointment of that, but there's nothing like 5 missed field goals. 5. And then the most inexplicable, stupid, but yet brilliant call by Les Miles, and just literally ripped my hearts out. Hearts. That's how many hearts I have it ripped out.
That's definitely one I was talking with my dad, kind of reminiscing about each of them this week, and that's definitely one he brought up. I was at the 2017 one where they blew the 20-point lead, and so that one has more recent and worse memories for me in the moment. But yeah, there's been too many that have just been so bad.
It's over. That's all I got to tell you.
That's right.
Yeah, those tears have been rolling in from Baton Rouge. We had a couple salty LSU fans coming to the chat, didn't we, folks, after the thing? You know, I think there's like 1 or 2 that were being there, hanging out with us, being reasonable. But there's the one guy, oh, we got cheated. Blah, 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 blah. It sounded like Ed Orgeron right now. But real quick, I know we're kind of bouncing around a lot as we kind of get caught up in chat. Do you think Ed Orgeron is in trouble now after the Auburn game?
It looks bad. I saw someone kind of, the thing where you kind of take someone's picture and it kind of morphs into another picture. I saw someone doing that with Edo and it morphed into Gene Chizik, which might not be a bad comparison because it doesn't look that great for Edo right now. He hit the championship a couple years ago with some star players and coordinators, but yeah, it doesn't look good for Edo. He's going to have to win several this year, I think, to really feel good going into the offseason.
All right, real quick. Sorry, and this is a weird segue because I just saw Dusty's comment. So that is you. That is your name, Dustin. So you should have access to us. On my phone, it says you have access to the Booster Club, and there is a link in there exclusively for members like you if you want to call in and have some fun with us tonight. So check that out if you want to, Dusty. But again, thank you for being a channel member here, and thank you for being a Booster Club member. It is not necessary to do both. We just provide both options for those people that don't want to like go to a different place and offer support in that area. You know, you can just do it here for the $1 amount. But thank you so much for whatever you do. Let's see here. A lot of praise for Bo Nix. And I know last time we got in trouble because we had to rush through our grades a little bit. So, but I think there's so many different elements of this game that are needed to break down. Austin, just tell me what you thought about Bo, TJ, that whole dynamic, and then hopefully we'll get to a point where we actually grade out the position with both of them in consideration.
Sure.
And just tell me, there's a lot there to unpack. Just tell me what you were thinking about the night of since then. Bo, TJ, quarterbacks, what were you thinking?
Yeah, no, you're right. And we talked last week, and you asked me. I think I said I'd go with Bo, and I'm glad they did. I think it was really evident on display and across the country because everybody's sharing the clips of him running buckshot all over the field to throw scores. But I just thought his mobility was really the key for this team with such a deficiency at offensive line. And I think TJ Finley has really good strengths that help this Auburn team. But at the end of the day, I don't think he can move around the way Bo does and is not comfortable moving around the way Bo does. So I was really excited to see that out of Bo. Kind of felt like he felt more comfortable, even though the rest of us were in distress watching him circle back 20 yards. But I just thought, that was big for him, big for confidence from the rest of the Auburn family to see him succeed. And at the end of the day, and this might be too emotional and too sentimental, but at the end of the day, Bo's been watching Auburn games his whole life, and he wasn't born the last time they beat LSU down there. So, seeing Patrick Nix and his wife at the end,
Yeah.
get a little dusty in there. It meant something to that family. It wouldn't mean to a whole lot of other players on that team. And that I just really love seeing him succeed and get the chance to show off how good he can be for this Auburn team.
Two things I want to point out from what you said, and I think everything you said is 100% true. I think it would have, and I don't think that you weren't saying this by not saying it, but this would have been equally especially for TJ if he had stayed in the game and pulled that off. Could you imagine the story we'd be talking about today? Like, how awesome would that be? Just to walk into your old place and then, is he good enough to start at Auburn? He wasn't good enough to start at LSU, just to shut all that down. That would have been, that would have been an awesome story too. And also the offensive line. We're going to get to that in a second. And I think Austin and I are clearly very similar in our criticism of it. I think there is some areas that we need to point out of improvement, and we'll get to that. But it is still somewhat of a liability in some very key areas, and we need to be honest in both sides of that equation when we talk about that. Neil says 2 amazing plays that stand out: Bo's incredible touchdown throw and that AU defender clotheslining the LSU. That was Joko Willis. Willis, yes. And the man's soul left his body. Just
poor guy.
I miss hits like that because that's football. And normally, our reaction after seeing a big hit like that is, well, that's targeting, because clearly it's going to be. But thankfully, nothing like that happened. What did you think about that targeting call early on Derek Hall?
Oh man, I was about to lose it, man. Like, I'm just glad they got it right, because that's not been something I fully expect from the officials, especially across the conference the last few weeks, to have gotten right. But they did. I felt like it was pretty obvious. It would have been a big loss too for Auburn. So I'm really glad they got that correct.
And put that in context of it was Zakevius Walker wasn't there. Owen Papo was out. And then who was the defensive lineman who wasn't playing?
TD Moultrie was not playing.
I thought TD was out there, though. I swear he was. Who was I thinking of that was TD? I know you're right, because that's the name that I was told, but I swear I saw TD out there, and I'm 100% wrong on that, but I'm just telling you how it feels. I'm looking. Obviously, he's not on the stat sheet at all, so it was really late. That's my excuse.
Sure.
And I was frantic. This is how frantic, how nervous I was during this whole thing. I hurt my right heel because I was pacing on my tile so much. It was awful. The suspense of all that. There was a good question I want to address. I've seen some articles. This is from Devin, say that this was Bo's best game. Do you agree? If not, what do you think his best has been? I'll answer first. I think you throw it into the conversation of his best game. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you top his performance as a freshman on a neutral site game in the magnitude. It was the game of the week. It was the college game day kickoff of the season. As a freshman, he goes in there, stands in the pocket, and nails Seth Williams on a must-hit touchdown. Wasn't it 4th down too, Austin? I think it was.
Yeah, I think so.
Actually, no. I think he got the 4th down right before that. We ran one more play, and then he stepped back and took that shot to the end zone. And beautiful. I mean, that's my opinion. What do you think?
Yeah, my only rebuttal to that would be he threw a few picks in that game. So overall, I think I'm going to go. He wasn't asked to do a lot, but I think I'm still going to choose his freshman year Iron Bowl game. With how big of a game that was. Sure, it's in Auburn, but I mean, how big of a game? He's a true freshman in his first Iron Bowl, against the #1 team in the country and everything. So he wasn't asked to do a lot, but he didn't make mistakes and pulling off that last play where they've got, was it Aaron Sipos running around like a wide receiver, and he pulled it off perfectly. And so I'll say either that one or I mean, he had a great game against LSU last year too, but LSU was just dreadful.
Yep. We got everybody confirming it was TD that was out. Yeah, I'm telling you, I saw things. It was late, man. It was late. Yes, Leota did step up in the place. There was a lot of players that stepped up,
Yeah,
right? Whether it was in the stead of somebody that was missing or Bo stepping up to the occasion and, shutting down a lot of the criticism. And I hope that everybody realizes that, and I'm speaking for myself here. I'm not speaking for Austin, but he can defend himself if he wants. But like, I'm not above, and I hope that you've heard my criticism of Bo. For those of you that have been even more critical of him, there's a difference between being constructively critical and just being downright awful as a human being.
100%.
And that's what we got, because some of these things that people are saying online, they'd never say to Bo to his face or to his family, and much less his mom, because if you say that to his mom, you are a terrible person. She didn't do nothing to you. Anyway, but I'm not going to get on that soapbox tonight. Let's see here. A lot of people are kind of debating which one it was. The Oregon play was on first down. Okay, second thought, I didn't think it was there. We already got people dropping predictions. Look, hold on to the prediction. Listen, we haven't even started giving out grades yet. We're about to do that right now. Hold on. I know you're ready to talk about that, but let's break this thing down further, grade it out. And you guys can do that as well alongside with us. And again, remember, if you are a Booster Club member, you have to head over to the app or the website. The link is available there exclusively for you to call in. You can chat with us and maybe correct us if we're wrong. That's also an option for you. And make sure you're smashing that like button as we go throughout the stream here. All right, grades. Let's start with quarterback. Obviously, Bo is going to be the heavy one here. This is not a situation where we're kind of really equally weighing out the two like last week. But you kind of have to throw TJ in there as well. Tell me your thinking and your grade behind that thinking for quarterbacks. And everybody else can start off in theirs as well.
Yeah, I mean, the first, like we both talked about, the first quarter, it looked like we were just going to be, stalled out and alternating again. And Bryan Harsin mentioned it in his post-game press conference that TJ Finley coming in on the third drive was pre-planned, and he earned that through practice, which I think was a great call. Like if that drive turns out to be magical, then yeah, Bryan Harsin's got decisions to make. I'm going to give the quarterbacks an A, just because I think Bo Nix won us the game.
Yeah,
I don't have any problem saying that. He ended with 255 yards on 23 completions, and you can't tell me that a lot of those should have been caught, and we'd be talking about Bo Nix on Saturday night in Death Valley having 300 plus yards.
Yeah, just wait till we get to wide receiver discussion. I got some things to say.
So, and then we saw what makes Bo Nix really valuable, and that was his run game. And he had 75 yards and a touchdown in that. So, I was just, man, Kyle knows this, and I spoke to this last week, but I was just really hoping to see Bo Nix play this week, start and do well.
Yeah.
And he did that. It was a huge performance by him in Baton Rouge. And honestly, I didn't think TJ did that bad of a job in his 4 pass attempts. He hit that big one to Schenker that got called back because of such a boneheaded move by Austin Troxell. But I thought he did well, but it was just very evident to me, even early on, before we got into the miraculous play that went all over the internet, that Bo's mobility was really going to help us win that game. And credit to Bryan Harsin and Mike Bobo for making sure they didn't tell him, hey, stay in the pocket, don't move. But like they used that to their advantage, and it helped Auburn win. So it's an A for me for the quarterbacks.
So, and that's funny because, the most frustrating thing about when you see people posting things online is they're like, he needs to stop scrambling. It's like, do you realize he doesn't have a lot of help? And, obviously things, and we're going to talk about it now, there's things that are getting better with the offensive line, even in the passing blocking. But he kind of has to, that's the whole thing. And it's not that he has to, he has the ability to make something of it. Anytime someone wants to question whether he should have the freedom to scramble or not, I'm going to show them that play. And you tell me, and then literally someone posted a picture and said, someone tell me how this picture, and it was Bo getting drugged down like before he throws the ball, ended up like this with Tyler Frum in the end zone.
Right.
Don't question the man about that area. We can talk about some other things with Bo. I do like Thomas's take on this, though. I don't necessarily agree with the grade, but I like his take on it because, remember, I'm someone that really tries to, for myself personally, but also hopefully for you all, press upon you to be very take the emotions. Here we go. I'm using this again, and the context, and get to the reality. And so I can appreciate what Thomas is saying there. I do think that Bo had such a stellar game that if you're going to give it to him A plus, I think there are still some areas where you need to say there's some improvements that need to happen. I think whether that's TJ, whether that's Bo. So I'm going to say an A. It's not a stellar, like no qualms whatsoever, but it was close. I mean, it's hard to argue with Bo's results after this game here.
Yeah.
A lot of people kind of with similar thinkings on this one. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about offensive line, because I think that'll inform some of the other ones. I know we typically don't do that one till like maybe last or something like that in offense.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of discussion online about whether or not we should be criticizing the offensive line, and everybody, you can offer your grades now too. We'll get those in and show them on the screen as we can. I would say this: they have improved slowly, somewhat assuredly, but there is just still they. How about this? I'll say they're less of a liability than they used to be. Passing, pass blocking, better. Bo did have to run for his life a lot, but there was less of that, I thought. Obviously, the 2 or 3 big, scrambles for Bo kind of stick out, and that kind of points to that fact. But Bo had a pocket to throw in a lot of the time, and Bo stood in there a lot of the time. Where I really take exception with the offensive line is the run game. I don't care if you're Tank. I don't care if you're Carnell Williams. I don't care if you're Bo Jackson. If you can't get a crease or a seam, you're not going to have success.
Yeah.
So for me, offensive line gets about a C plus. However, and I want to say this publicly, you cannot argue with the fact that they stopped the leading sacks team, and you cannot take that away from them. Bo did not have a single sack. Now, credit to Bo for making that a reality, but it's still, you have to give that to them. And I want to make sure that we give them their credit where the credit's due, but there is still a long way to go for the offensive line, in my opinion. Your thoughts?
Yeah, C plus is what I had in mind as well. And I think you hit on a lot of it. Like LSU led the conference in sacks coming into this game, and they didn't get one at all Saturday night. That's mind-boggling. And if you told me that would have happened last week, I would have called you crazy and you need to go to bed before that game kicks off. But and like Kyle said, a lot of that can be attributed to Bo, and there probably would have been a few sacks if Bo can't get his legs moving. But yeah, the biggest thing that sticks out to me is the running backs, and not being able for them to find a hole against an LSU defense that really hasn't done that well against the run. So they stack the box a lot, but that's just unacceptable to me. So I'll stick with a C. I do think that offensive line is getting better, and that's a testament to the work Will Friend has put in with them and how they've progressed over the year. But yeah, it just an average performance for me from the offensive line, just to see.
Yeah, and I think you have to say it's an average performance, but I think you also have to give them credit for, and I think that's where the plus comes in, for stopping the leading sacks team. I mean, that cannot be argued, and that should not be shied away from. That's impressive. And they, Auburn doesn't give out helmet sticks, but there should be stickers. But they should have them, because that's an incredible feat to keep your quarterback off of his back. Again, obviously because of a lot of what Bo did, but the credit still does have to go to them somewhat. I think there was a comment that I wanted to address that I thought was a good one here. Oh, where did it go? Right here. Life with Maine. We're going to get to it in a second. You can do these things, but players have to execute on all facets: quarterback, offensive line, and wide receivers. We'll get there. All right. Looks like we have settled on C+. I think most everybody is saying about the same thing as well. Just kind of, I've thrown most of y'all's comments up here. But yeah, so we'll put that one there kind of in the C+ column for everybody, and we'll kind of use that to address the whole offense in a second. Running backs. Do you fault the running backs because of the run blocking, or do you think there's some fault to go around with Jarquez, with Sean, with Tank. Those are the three that we saw. And then you
Yeah.
have to kind of factor some of Bo's rushing in with this as well. So it's going to be a tricky one to kind of grade. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you hit on it. We saw three running backs on Saturday. Tank, 9 times for 35 yards. Not what we really expected from him. How much of that goes to O-line? I've looked at a little bit of film and it doesn't look like Tank's really hitting the right hole every time, which is kind of concerning as well. But I mean, my goodness, Jarquez Hunter just popped off there in the second or the fourth quarter and on that 92-yard drive to really take the lead and go ahead. So I really thought that they set up the running backs well, knowing the issues that the offensive line. We saw the pass off or the option pass off to Jarquez that he really broke down the sideline. We saw Sean Shivers getting passes out of the backfield. On almost every third down, I was confident he was going to make it and make someone miss, which was really encouraging to see. So for both of them to really pick up the slack and give Auburn a running game from the backs that was kind of obsolete there from Tank in the beginning was big. So I was really pleased. Sean Shivers is making sure that he still stays relevant in this offense. Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter are going to still get all the running back headlines, but Sean Shivers is like, hello, I'm still here and I can still hit you like a truck.
He's doing what a senior does, and that's be
Absolutely.
reliable. There's something to be said, and I've made this reference a lot, but the Cody Burns type of guys, they're not the best at their position, but they're there when you need them to be doing the things that you need them to be.
That's
and
right.
Sean does that to a T. When the ball is in his hands, he acts like this is the last time I'm ever going to get a handoff, the last time I'm ever going to get a pass thrown to me, and he makes the most of it. So many LSU defenders got acquainted with Sean Shivers. Of course, I yelled several times, shiver me timbers. Shivers me timbers. Did you give a grade? Did I cut you off before that?
I did not. Yeah, just overall, I'm going to give him a B+. I thought the running backs did enough, especially toward the end, and Jarquez and Sean to get a B or B+.
Stan's here. He says he's buying a car, so only stay for a minute. Good. Thanks for being here. Channel member. Appreciate you, buddy, for being here. I think we got most everybody's grades in here. Yes, Sean Shivers knocking people's helmets off, especially this week, would be lovely. He is Sean Shivers to me. Here's my guys. My guys are Bo, Sean, and who was the third one? Gosh, Kyle, you had this down pat. Now Shedrick Jackson. Those are my boys. Don't mess with my boys. I'll come fight you over my boys. They're my guys. Now, I'm not saying that they're not without flaws in some area, but those are my boys that I'll fight for. I'll say it's tricky. I can't remember if you said some of the stats. Bo, 12 carries, 74 yards, 1 touchdown. Jarquez, obviously with his big run, 6 carries for 65 yards. Do you think Tank's hurt?
I'm not sure. Bryan Harsin said today he's not. Tank's fine. That was all he really led into it. It does not make sense to me with him being fully healthy, us not seeing the production. But I also wonder if it's just I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think he's fully there, but I don't know if it's like a certain injury. I don't know if it's just fatigue or he's banged up or what. But there's times, I mentioned it, there's times he's not hitting the right hole and he's not hitting it fast enough. And then there's times where he doesn't look disinterested, but he looks like not who we're accustomed to seeing. So I don't think he's all there, but I'm not sure there's a specific injury he's playing through.
All right, Jack, you gonna make me fight you? I'm kidding. Jack knows I'm just messing with it. But Jack, don't you mess with my boys. You can't say he has a brick for hands because we don't win Georgia State if he doesn't make that play. All right, here, real quick. We got somebody calling in. It is a Booster Club member, our newest one, Mr. Dustin. Can I call you that, or you prefer Dusty?
Dustin, don't matter, buddy.
I appreciate you, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How y'all doing tonight, man?
We're just reveling in the gloriousness that is a losing streak ended.
I still got half a cigar. I got halfway through it, man. It was 1 o'clock in the morning. I passed out.
Oh, man. Yeah, I saw a lot of photos of cigars all over social media before social media shut down today. So, we would probably be seeing that's what's happened today is they couldn't take any more Auburn fans celebrating. That's what's been going on. You want to help us grade one more unit while you're here?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And I wanted to make a comment. I
I
called in last week,
yeah.
and I was kind of hard on Derek Mason. So I wanted to be
Hey,
fair.
honestly so. Honestly so.
I wanted to be fair. Great in-game adjustments, man. Great. You could tell the difference after the first quarter when we stuck McQuarrie on Butte. It was just a total different ball game.
Yep. 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 It definitely was. So I think again, you saw some moments of the frustrations that we've rightfully had with whether it's Derek Mason, the scheme, the players, but the adjustments can't be argued with. And I said this on the live stream. I don't like the methods, but I can't argue with the results. And that's really what matters at the end of the thing. So I appreciate your honesty and willing to, kind of come back and, alter that. But again, this is just one game. So we need to see this happen continuously. 2 games in a row. He and his defensive staff have made those adjustments. Can they keep doing that? Or here's a brilliant idea. Could we just do it from the start?
A 4-quarter football game. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly. You want to grade wide receivers with us?
Sure.
Let's do it. All right. So we're going to let our guest give his perspectives of wide receivers. So just tell us what you thought about it, things that you liked, things that you didn't, and then tell us your grade.
Are we including tight ends?
Yeah, I would. That's how I always operate is I include the tight end pass catching part of this. So yes, Tyler Fromm is included and Shanker.
Yeah. Was that really Fromm's first career catch? I read that today somewhere on Twitter. I wasn't sure if that was true.
I'm not sure. I know it was his first touchdown, but
I know that he caught one in a spring game, but that doesn't count, obviously. So,
But either way, way to show up big. For the wide receiver unit, man, I'll probably go with a B when you just consider all the turmoil this week that room especially had going on. Scramble drill, like they found a way to get open, and we made the plays when we had to. I'm not gonna be hard on anybody, man. First time in 22 years, I was so happy.
Hey, he's like, look, I'm done. I'm done criticizing you, and you've ruined or you've taken this misery away from us. No criticism.
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the Kobe Hudson drop on the wide open post route was very frustrating, but he came back and made a big play there.
Yep.
So, and I mean Shanker, that's just awesome, and that's somebody we can count on. If he's the go-to guy down there in the red zone, that'll be huge for us. A guy that we can count on like that.
So what's your grade? I mean, I know there's a lot of different players to kind of encompass and all that, but if you had to kind of grade the unit as a whole, what would you say?
A B.
A B. Okay, cool.
I'm considering the whole week with that situation, everything that they had to go through.
Yep.
Just this whole week, and that's impressive to me with the coaching staff just to rally around. Such a week full of turmoil and all the noise. For those guys just to block it out, man, and get something that big done, because people can talk. You can say what you want about how good of a team LSU is or whatever. That hasn't mattered in the past. I watched Kenny Irons get off the bus, promise 200 yards, do it, and then John Vaughn missed 5 field goals in that building. So it's just to get it done, man. That's such a monkey off this program's back. It's so big.
Yeah, it really is. And there's some frustrations for me. Obviously, I'm a big Shedrick fan, as I said earlier. I think he's been there's been some inconsistency, but the crazy that you brought it up, Kobe Hudson. We were just praising him and him Shed for providing solid leadership, not being the big wide receiver that we really need, but just providing somewhat consistency. And then you see Kobe go out there, make these mistakes, but then he comes through you in the clutch. So it's kind of like, like how do you be hard on the guy, because he's doing it when it counts. I just need a little bit more consistency across the board. I agree with your takes about tight ends, especially Tyler Fromm. I think we made a tweet that said, how frustrating is it got to be for Tyler Fromm that your 2 first throws are like lobs from TJ and Bo, not even spiral. He's like, can a brother get a spiral, please? And then your next throw is one of the most spectacular throws of Bo's career, arguably of many Auburn quarterbacks' careers. So, for me, again, I think it's great to keep that in mind, what they went through, the cojones, for lack of a better term, to not shy away from throwing the ball and saying, yeah, you guys have been through a tough week. We got to have you. We're throwing the ball. And so I think all that being said together, I'll settle on like a a B minus, because I did still see some issues of alignment problems, not knowing where the ball was. That was early on. Some of those got fixed, some drops and things like that. But all that in consideration, B minus feels the same right there. Austin, why don't you give yours real quick?
Yeah, I'm in agreement with you guys, and you guys hit on a lot of it. I was thinking about when we were talking about slants earlier, and you mentioned execution. Kobe Hudson's drop came to mind. But like Dusty said, he came back and made a really big play that really corrected it and really made up for it. But if we could just have those sure steady catches from the get go, that'd be the best. But man, what a game by Shanker with over 100 yards. He even had some drops, and it was like, gosh, this guy's numbers could be crazy. So I don't know what it is and how we get those drops fixed from the beginning, but yeah, I'm with a B for the pass catching group.
Okay. You want to, Dusty? Can you stay with us to do an overall offense grade before we move to defense?
Yes, sir.
All right, let's do it. So we have gone through. I think we had everybody: quarterbacks, offensive line, running backs, and wide receivers. Now I'll let Austin go first this time, and I'll go last. Austin, taking all that in consideration, how do you grade out the offense overall?
Yeah, overall, with the offensive line, about a C, C plus, and then pass catchers B, running backs B plus, and quarterbacks A. I'm not going to do it real analytically, but it kind of all factors into a B plus A minus range, maybe right on the fringe of A minus. So, I mean, they did what they had to be done, and they did something that hadn't been done in a long time. Like Dusty said, it's really hard to really pick qualms with anything when the streak ended. So I'll go with a really high B for the overall offense after the first quarter.
All right, Dusty, what you think?
I'm thinking the same, a B plus.
Okay.
The run blocking would I'd like the run blocking to be a lot better. And obviously they got beat some on pass blocking, but Bo made it happen. What a legendary performance. So yeah, I'm gonna go B plus. They hung in there, man.
Yeah, they did. They really did. I like the B plus. I really do. And again, try not to look at it too analytically what I gave the other ones, but I think I had like a C plus, a B minus, an A minus, and in the range of a B there. So it kind of all factors out to a B. But I just think you have to factor in the significance, as you both have said, of this event and what they accomplished. Night game, Baton Rouge, hadn't been done in 22 years. Losing your wide receiver coach in the middle of the season, switching over to that, is there a quarterback controversy? Is there not? Dealing with all that. It can't be understated. You may have started off slow, but they responded and they got the job done.
0 turnovers in a night game in Tiger Stadium too.
Huge.
It's an even better point right there. Then I was, now I'm scared because you pointed it out. There was a stat I was wanting to say earlier about Bo, but I'm not going to. I'm knocking on wood. Every part of my desk, I'm knocking on right now because this is not something we want to deal with at this point.
I said a bad word when they put it up.
It's very close too. Hey, it's very close to happening. So knocking on wood right now. Hey, Dusty, thank you so much for calling in and doing this. We'll hopefully see you a lot more here on Monday nights.
Hey, yes, sir. And everybody, big prayers to Carlton Davis. I don't know if y'all watched the game last night, but that looked pretty serious.
What happened? I'm sorry. I was busy last night. What happened?
He was already banged up going into the game and looked like a pretty serious quad injury. It was on a special teams play, and he was kind of stuck out there because they faked one of them kind of deals, and they ended up just punting or whatever. And he just – no contact or nothing. He just came up limp, and he had to be carted off, and it doesn't look good.
Man. And listen, that guy is an island out there too. So it's sad from that perspective for his career and how he's got to work back from that. But obviously, we don't want to see anybody get hurt, especially one of our own. So, that is a good point there. Prayers and all that for Carlton Davis out there. Dustin, man. Hey, War Eagle, man. Thanks for being a member
Dustin.
Here and on the Booster Club.
Yes,
all right,
y'all have a good night.
All right, you too. Awesome. We got to talk to a Booster Club member tonight.
That was awesome.
It is awesome. They get the exclusive link, That's right. We like to treat them right whenever we can. So we will obviously do that most Monday nights here for our grading of games. And you can call in too. You check out some of the links in the description to how to get there and be a Booster Club member. Or you can just be a channel member here too. We didn't get a lot of grades from everybody over. I think I got put some of them over overall, but I think we can all agree in the high B range is probably very acceptable overnight. Two things I want to point out before we move to defense. First of all, we had someone being very impatient with us. I'm trying to find them. I'm not going to call. I guess I shouldn't call them out, but they were like, "Why are y'all talking about defense?" Well, because we hadn't gotten there. We're going to do it now. But we also have to shout out someone who just became a channel member. Plainsman Murph, thank you so much, sir. You are hugely appreciated for doing that. Thank you so much. Autumn's here. This is Autumn, right, Scott?
Of course, yeah. We've never met in person, but I know her husband.
Hey, Ryan, you were asking what the call-in link is. It is exclusive to our Booster Club members tonight. If you want to check the link out of there, you can sign up for as little as $1 there, and you can definitely call in. But Wednesday nights, free for everybody. Anybody can do it. So be here Wednesday, same time. War Eagle Tiger Pride say Kyron. Okay. War Eagle. Yeah. We'll take it. No qualms there. All right. Defense. We got started late. I know, but we need to get to defense and apparently spend some time on it because somebody was upset with us. Again, I think a case of, didn't start out great. When Butte caught that ball, first of all, can we just address that name? I mean,
what a name.
What a name.
As Cajun as it gets.
Butte. Yeah, somebody catch that man's Butte over there. I was dropping the dad jokes left and right. When he caught that pass over the defense, I mean, there was, in my mind, I don't know if you have a difference of opinion, there was nothing wrong with the defense at that point because they had the coverage and a guy over the top too. Just drops it in the perfect. You got to give Max Johnson the credit. I literally said, "What do you do with that?"
Yeah, there's nothing.
Was there anything wrong that you thought, or was it just a great play?
No, I thought I didn't love setting up the defense how it was on that drive, but that specific play, no, that's a perfect throw. That's a 1 in a million perfect throw that you're not going to see from most people that are playing on Saturday. So. No, I thought it was perfect, and it was definitely where I was like, here we go. This is an LSU game on the road. When stuff like that happens, it's not good. But thankfully, that was not a sign of things to come.
I literally looked at Jessica and I was like, oh boy, this is gonna be
a
long night. So do you think it was more of our adjustments or were we just having better defense on Butte? Because literally after the first quarter, he didn't show up, but maybe a couple more times. I mean, like, what do you account for that? Was it just the adjustments?
A couple of things. Yeah, I think there were adjustments made by Derek Mason in game, which is huge, especially right after that big drive.
Yep.
I think he still stuck to what he knows. I talked about this a lot last week. He's definitely a zone guy with his secondary, and Auburn's defenders are not used to that. So I think he still stuck to it at some point, but he also saw, which is something I was really happy about, saw the asset that is Roger McCreary and just put him on Butte and said, this isn't happening anymore.
McCreary Island, baby. Don't come over there.
So I love the adjustments. I think that was a big part of it. And then we're talking about secondary, but I don't know how much time we have. I thought the defensive line was a huge, huge part of making Max Johnson uncomfortable, and we haven't seen that from them all year. And that's with TD Moultrie out. And so I thought a defensive line without TD Moultrie, which might be something we have to deal with for the foreseeable future, was a really big deal for Auburn to actually see pressure and get back in the backfield and make Max Johnson uncomfortable. Because you're right, after that first drive, Keyshawn Butte, whatever his name is, was obsolete.
Let's talk about this in my two things. Let's talk about emotion and context. The emotions of what we've been going through with the defense is it's scheme. Should it be zone? Should it be man? Yeah. That's the big buzz thing. But there's also emotions of, is our defense really this bad? Is it going to be this big of a letdown? Because we were all talking about how this was going to be the thing that kept us in games this year. And clearly it's not. It's the thing that's been a liability, arguably more than quarterbacks, in my opinion. But then you've got what happens in this game. Arguably not the best offensive team in the world in LSU, but still pretty good. Got a great weapon and a great quarterback. They have no running game, so you gotta count for that. 0. It's sad. It's so sad to watch an Auburn and LSU game that doesn't feature a 100-yard rusher.
It was strange. Very strange.
I know this is 2021 and things have been real weird for 2 years, but my goodness, that is just horrendous. But all that being said, you also got to look at this game and however you want to slice it up, whether LSU is a great team or a good team or this was, whatever. You can't deny the adjustments that were made and the way they responded, not just to the adjustments, but also having players that were key out. If Owen Papo's there, I think we lose. Like if he's not there, like I was saying, oh God, we're done for. Because the linebackers were like the only, in my opinion, solid part of the defense thus far.
Yeah.
So all that being considered, defense, man. I mean, I know we'll get to overall grade in a second. It was really surprising to see them lock it down and just say in the second half, no. All you get's a field goal. All right. How about defensive line? What do you think about that?
I thought they were phenomenal. Derek Hall had a sack and a half. Iku Leota, this might have been his biggest game so far of chasing guys around. Only one sack, but my goodness, it felt like he was back there making a difference all the time, and that's big for Auburn with TD Moultrie out. So I was really pleased with the defensive line, and I'd give them an A minus.
Yeah, I think finally what we saw was a little bit of a pass rush, and that was very pleasant to see that happening here. I'm looking at some stats here, and it varies a little bit because we've moved to a 3-4, and we're all still getting acclimated with that as well. So some of the edge rushers are sometimes kind of stand-up linebackers. It's all weird. Look, and I know I know some people are probably screaming like that's not necessarily true with a 3-4. I get that. We're just talking in relative terms here. Derek Hall, 8 total tackles, 4 solo for him. He had, I'm looking for sacks on here, 1.5. I always forget that you can get a 0.5. Can you get a third of a sack? Is that possible?
I don't know, but I'd feel bad for whoever got
like
hit.
Does one guy get the lower body, one the middle, one the head? But if you get the head, then like you're
out.
You're targeting. It's like, how does that work? Colby Wooden, 7 total tackles, 2 solo for him, and he got a half of that sack as well. Iku Leota, as you said. Yeah, it was nice to see him kind of show up, and he hasn't had any like big moments for himself yet to do it on this stage. I think personally, I don't know that I saw enough to give them like an outstanding grade, like an A and A plus. A minus, and I want to reference what Thomas said earlier about the offense overall. I think he was saying, or the quarterbacks. I'd like to see this done more consistently against good competition. So this week at home is going to be a good show of that. Does it happen again? Even if we lose, listen, it's possible. I know we're all riding high right now, but we might lose. But if they should have a good showing again, then I'm like, all right, we're moving in the right direction defensive line wise. And then I can start being a little bit more free and loose with my, optimism about them. So I'll say A minus right now for me, but definitely a better direction so far. Linebackers. You don't have, Owen Papo there. What do you think about them overall?
Yeah, you hit on it. Zacoby was really the only guy out there for a long time, and we talked about him last week when he came back after his targeting suspension for the first half last week. It looked like that defense was whipped into shape. People were in the right spots again. He just commanded the field and was really the quarterback out there. So yeah, you said he was the only one out there, so that gives you like a fake 4-1-6 defense, which you don't see a lot. But with LSU's pass happy offense, it's what they needed. And so I was really glad he was out there. There were miscues overall, but I mean, nothing bad. I'm sticking with them with an A. I think you will see Owen Papo back this week with him and Zacoby. And that is very good news for this Auburn defense going up against Georgia.
It is. I'm going to make a dad joke here. I'm sorry. Bear with me. That offensive line guy for LSU was ridiculous.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm sorry. I saw that came up, and I jumped on that. I was dad joke city last night. It was bad. I'm not even a dad. But, yes, he did get picked on a lot by the defensive line, but also the linebackers. The way I don't think this can be overstated, and this goes for the defensive line too. The way they stepped up, losing who they didn't have for that game, can't be overstated. Guys said, you know what, this is my time. to say, I need more playing time, first of all, but that we're going to not see a drop off.
Right.
Boy, did they do it. It was really good to see that. Zachaby McClain, my gosh. I mean, just what do you do with, like, if you're an offensive line coach, like, how do you defend that? You know, you got to put a couple tight ends in there and help with that, have the running back stay back. I mean, even if LSU wanted to run the ball, I don't think that they could have, because, you know, Zachaby McClain was going to be there just to knock someone's heads off. So I'm just going to say an A. You know, it didn't feel like a game where like there was an outstanding interception or something like that for them. So an A is kind of where I sit at on that. Here's where the things get interesting. Defensive backs. It looked bad early. We already addressed that first pass and overall to all the wide receivers. So how do you, Austin, look at the performance overall of this defensive backfield and grade that out, and everybody else offer your grades as well too?
Yeah, you hit on it. I mean, when their stud receiver has, on the first drive, has 122 yards on one drive, which I'm like, how is that possible? But you got to remember, they fumbled it way back the snap.
Right.
And they get extra yards for all that. So 122 yards on 6 catches is like, oh, buddy, this is that guy this is Dotson from Penn State all over again.
I forgot about him. Thank you for reminding me.
Bad news. So, but man, we hit on it. Derek Mason, who I have just been really critical of, made adjustments, and Dusty mentioned it too. You got to give him credit for that. They put McCreary on him, and it was game over from there with 3 catches for 28 yards the rest of the way. That's insane. And what we expect, what you should expect out of your alpha DB.
Yeah.
So I'm going B+ because and like you've mentioned it, let's see it trend better from the start of the game from here on out, and that's an overall performance of an A+ for sure.
Yeah.
But that first quarter, let's just take that and say, let's not do that again. And it's a B+ overall for the secondary for me.
I think what you notice a lot of trending here wise is there's a standout player at each unit. And obviously Rodgers, Rodgers, one of those that you really honestly don't want to hear from him a lot, because he's just knocking the passes down and that's it. But there's some other, I thought Nehemiah, I think it was Pritchett, had a couple of good plays in this game. Obviously I think it was Bradarius Knighton got the interception at the end. And someone pointed out that we should go back and watch that, and how much they had gotten into Max Johnson's head, because he had a wide open guy, it looked like, and just overthrew him. I mean, it'd have been one thing if it wasn't a good throw, got tipped off his hands and intercepted. He's like, you can't do anything about that. But you could tell at that point that what the line and the linebackers had done set up a scenario where it helped the defensive backs out. And I think that's what's been missing with this defense, because if there's 2 portions of this unit that are failing, it's going to really show the deficiencies of the other, and they're going to become a bigger problem. So maybe we would have gotten to this point if there had been more of a pass rush early on for Penn State, things like that. We might have not seen some of these deficiencies. So it may, in hindsight, it's probably a good thing that we got to see that exposed, so that could be worked on. Effort was an A++. Yes, it was. In press coverage, take away the quick slants, but the safeties have to understand there's a zone assignment when the receivers come out of press coverage. Yeah. We can sit here and analyze it all day, but I am not going to question the results. I don't like the methods, but those results are really good. For me, I'm going to just say B- for defensive backs. I think, obviously it locked down, but this is a similar criticism that I have. I want to see consistency from defensive line and defensive backs next week. And it's going to be tough. I know we're not previewing Georgia yet, but what's his name? Wide receiver, Brown, Greg, or the big wide receiver that's been out. That was the Auburn commit, George Brown, or George Pickens. I don't know why Brown.
I don't think he's bad. He had an ACL, and they're saying toward the end of the year maybe, but as a fellow ACL, I don't see it.
I can attest to this. This is going to be a little bit tough to pull off here. So, all that being said, defensive wise, everybody now in the chat, post your overall defensive grade. Been high, and a lot higher than we typically have been. What say you, Austin?
Yeah. I think I'm just going to go with the solid A-. I really like the defensive line, and the linebackers were stellar to me. The only slight issue I really had was the secondary in that first quarter. So I felt really good about the defense and holding them to, the bend don't break, and holding them to 4 field goals and in the red zone was key. So I'm good with an A- for the defense overall.
I'm gonna pick on Corey for a second. How do you interpret that grade? He fixed it.
That's a lot of B's. Oh, okay,
that's a lot of it. Yeah, he fixed it. But hey, that was a little. That was a little like, did he just have a
maybe
stroke?
is he saying each unit B is B plus?
In context.
Maybe.
Got it. I don't know. Overall B plus here. I'm gonna sit probably at just a. I'm gonna sit at a B. Just begin because I've been so, and I think this is a fair statement, a little bit disenfranchised because I bought into it too, that the defense was going to be our rock, and it's failed us the most this season, in my opinion. At times, this game's a different story. So I think B is, it's like when you look at it, if C's average, got the job done, but a lot of work needs to happen. B's like, hey, you got the job done. A little bit better than expected, but you still got a long ways to go. And I think that's kind of where I would like to sit on the defense right now. But you can't argue with the results, as we've said several times throughout this. All right, we're not going to forget special teams this time.
Oh,
how do you want to? I mean, I know there was a block kick. Anders missed technically 2, but do you think that they should count the misses on a blocked kick against the kicker?
No, I'd kind of like to see it as like a team miss, but I don't, that's dumb, but that's kind of more baseball style stuff. But the thing with Anders on those 2 were they were longer kicks and they weren't getting up very much. But I get, that's physics, trajectory. It's got to go lower to go longer. He's got to kick the leg to make it happen, though.
Yeah.
And so I think the one he truly missed was just trajectory and angle, and it didn't line up.
Yeah.
The block is a little more the angle, and that, I mean, whoever was snapping that ball, I'm sorry, I don't know the snapper's name. He got run over.
Yeah.
So that's
a blocking problem there,
Yeah, definitely. But that is special teams to me. So I'm still counting that as a detriment. And then one other part of it is that onside kick. I don't mind the play call. I kind of liked it, and it was there. Oh my goodness, I was excited. There's just a little too much heat on it. And I wasn't really certain a wide receiver was going to be able to catch a ball, whether it's being kicked or thrown. So I did it.
Oh man.
So I was kind of nervous that way too, but I don't mind it. But I mean, you talk about expectations. I just expect Anders maybe too much. I have a perfect view or higher view of him. So I really wasn't too thrilled with special teams.
Now let's look at this in context here. 3 attempts, one was from 51, 49, and 50.
Oh yeah, they're big ones. I'm not, but that's what I'm saying. My expectation of Anders,
that's fair.
And that great last name he has is too high.
So here's the one thing that we can say about the onside kick, and more of overarching thing. If you're going to question Bryan Harsin and whether he has a pair,
that's right.
Don't you question. That man went on 4th down way more than I would have. And both teams did, actually. Well, if you're at home in LSU in that environment, you go on 4th down. But not Auburn in that situation. Most people won't do that thing. So don't question the man's willingness to say, hey, let's just see what happens with this thing. And obviously they were prepared because it was something that was there. Execution was a little off, though.
Said they practiced it all week. So
yep,
I'm good with that.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. So offense, did you give a grade for special teams? I think you did.
I didn't. You're not going to like it.
Uh-oh.
I wrote all my grades down this week. I was more prepared.
All right. What you got? Let me hear
my
it.
Special teams grade's a D+. I was not.
And that is the last time we have Austin on the
I've been higher just about than you on all the other categories. I knew this would be where we would disagree, but I was not happy with special teams at all.
So, okay. Are you forgetting that Joko Willis took someone's soul from them?
Okay, I mean, that's wonderful and all, and I loved it, and I'm gonna play the highlight. I wish I could make the video my wallpaper, but I can't. So
Listen, I'm gonna say you're wrong.
that's fine. That's
I,
fine.
I think you can look at the first kick by Anders and say that's clearly him putting a little bit more leg than he needed to. And I can say as a former kicker, there is a certain relationship,
Definitely.
and I'm sure there's some math involved, but I didn't care about the math. Probably why I wasn't longer tiered as or longer tenured as a kicker. Um, it is hard to balance trajectory versus strength
Definitely.
versus all and accuracy. And I think what we found him showing that night is even after the miss, he fixed it from a similar distance. I mean, it was only 2 yards
Right.
less, and there was a blocking issue. So I think you can knock. Those are the 2 big knocks on special teams for me. Everything else they for me kept relatively in check. Obviously, made their extra point that they needed to make, or 2 extra points, or 3. Was it 3? It was 3 extra points. Wow, we scored 3 touchdowns, people. That just hit me.
Wait.
That literally just hit me like that. Like, I know I saw it happen. We did score because
Nick's
Nick's
ran,
through, and Jarquez ran one.
Jarquez, yeah, the
So
winning one.
I'm gonna say, how about this? I will come down low, but I'm not coming down to your level. I'm
That's
gonna
fine.
go C-. I think
All
C-.
right, that's fine. We're not that far apart.
It met expectations. How about that? But just like there's just enough that needs to improve that you kind of need to give them a little bit of a that wasn't that great.
That's fine.
Okay.
My expectations for Carlson boys are through the roof.
And rightfully so. Yes, Austin. Yeah, I saw your question earlier. We did already do offense. Unfortunately, I have to go back and check that out. We all kind of settled on about somewhere in the B+ to A- to A region. It's depending on the way you look at things, but can't argue with the results on things here. So that is our grades. We did offense, defense, special teams. We had a call in from the Booster Club. It's been an eventful night here. Final thoughts, Austin, on what has been a magical, I'm going to cry, a magical last couple of days for Auburn fans.
Yeah, it's huge. When my dad calls me and is just freaking out over, not an overly huge game as far as, crazy last second, blah, blah, blah. But, and just that's what this streak meant to Auburn fans. And some are going to view that as, well, that's pathetic, but it's ridiculous. And for us to go through, Tuberville's was his first win at LSU and his first SEC win. He never won there again. So it's essentially been 3 regimes that have never won down there.
Yep.
And for Bryan Harsin to get it done, it's huge for this team and them understanding the confidence that they can now build upon in his system is really big. And it's just big for the Auburn family to get, like Dusty mentioned, it's a perfect way to say it, get the monkey off the back and worry about those Cajuns another year.
I'm going to do a plug, and I know this is a shameless plug for the other videos here on the channel. If you guys haven't, go watch the video I made right before, well, it was the day before the game. And I think the title is Auburn Losing Streak History in Baton Rouge. It was awful to make and watch beforehand, but boy, in context now, it really puts things into context. Is basically what I'm trying to say. It talks about the 4 regimes that have seen the LSU losing streak. Because I'll count Harsin because it wasn't over until he completed you saw 4 head coaches on both sides. You saw people get fired because of this rivalry game. It is something that's important. It is something that is it was crazy that it took that long to happen. How many times it almost was over? It's just frustrating. 2007, 17, 2019, and there was I think it was it 2005? I can't remember which one it was. There was another time it was almost over as well. But go check that video out if you can. Go ahead and everybody get your last minute comments, questions. Get those in now. A couple reminders before we get out of here. Check out some of the links in the description. You can become a channel member like some people have already on the stream, whether it was Dusty, Plainsman Murph. Thank you guys for your support. We also got Dusty's a new Booster Club member. Again, that's a little confusing, I know, but if you need help explaining why we do the 2 different things, they're both $1 to get into. The Booster Club has a little different levels for different things that you get at certain tiers. Check all that stuff out and stay tuned this week. Wednesday night, we're going live with our preview open call-in show. basically it could be not me talking at all, just all of y'all. So be here if you can. It's going to be fun. And obviously you want to pay attention this weekend, Georgia weekend. We're going to be on campus all like basically from Thursday at tip off at Toomer's till Saturday after the game. I will not be sleeping. So I hope y'all are ready for some content because it is coming out, my friends. It's gonna be real fun. All right, let's see. Last minute comments and questions here. War Production says App State beat Georgia State by 30. It's a bad look. Well, you don't know how good App State is.
Who cares?
Everything's relative, it really is. I mean, Akron was running with Ohio State for a little while, and I know Ohio State is not, as good
It's
as
Akron. Yeah.
it's still Akron. So it's kind of one of those things that you really just gotta, can't react too much to things. But I get your point. Your point stands.
It was a win. It was a win.
It is a bad look, though. I agree with that. Appreciate that. Glad you guys. Deontay wants us to maybe mention TJ Finley. I guess maybe ask you what we think the future would hold for him. I mean, what do you think, Austin?
This is just plain and simple. I don't know how this is not Bo Nix's team going forward. I think he proved that he should be the starting quarterback moving forward, and that he should he's earned the respect and trust of his team, and I believe TJ has too. But at the end of the day, and I said this last week, I'm not putting a 98-yard drive against Georgia State over especially the performance Bo Nix had in Death Valley Saturday night.
Yeah, this is not the end of TJ's story, and I actually believe, and that's obviously on TJ to decide, that TJ's the quarterback of the future. And I know everybody's chomping at the bit for Demetrius Davis, but if you notice what a lot of these teams are having success with is not putting freshmen in right away and putting redshirt freshmen in right away. They're coming in as sophomores at the earliest, or really juniors sometimes, and having only 2 years really, unless they just have an outstanding junior year and go pro early. Auburn can get into a cycle that's very successful. So this is not the end of TJ's story. He won a lot of respect last week, and he is very much deserving. What I know now is that man is ready for when he's called upon, and he's set the expectation, and so he's got to meet that expectation that he set for himself.
Also, not God forbid anything happens to Bo Nix and we lose him, but I hope Auburn, you should feel better about the depth of this quarterback position.
I do,
for sure.
I do. I have not felt this good about the quarterback position. And listen, let's take this game away. I felt good about the quarterback position and where we could go based off what I saw with TJ last week, because I knew, okay, whether he gets the starting job now or he's the backup, I feel good about this thing.
Yeah.
Austin, I know you missed the earlier part of the show. Hunter Tank, we talked a lot about that. Obviously, we think more of the blame for their lack of performance. I mean, I know Hunter had a better game, but is a lot to do with the offensive line. But there's still some questions about what's going on with Tank and stuff like that. Let's see. Grown men barking like dogs. It is pathetic, Dusty. It is one of the worst things in the world. I appreciate you guys' kind words here. I think we've basically got caught up everything here with the post. So thank y'all so much for being here. Smash the like button on the way out if you haven't. Check out links in the description. Austin, thank you for being here again, sir.
Always. I really appreciate it. Thanks for having me. War Eagle.
All right, War Eagle guys. We'll see you Wednesday night, live, 8 p.m. Eastern time. Be here or be square. It's Georgia week. Have you hated the Georgia Bulldogs? War Eagle.